Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Okay, so today we're tackling content creation.
Right.
Specifically, how to make it, I don't know, less of a monster for all the solo business owners out there.
Juggling all the things.
Exactly. And we've got a great article here by Denise Wakeman.
Yeah, make content creation easier while growing your client base. It's pretty awesome.
And it does what it says on the tin,
Oh,
right?
cycle?
Like it
Yeah.
actually gives you actionable advice.
It totally does.
I mean, because there's so much out there that's just like, be authentic.
Right.
But how?
Exactly.
This one actually tells you how to get stuff done.
It lays it all out.
Yeah, I love that. And one thing that really stood out to me right off the bat was how Wakeman emphasizes attracting the right clients.
Yes. Not just any clients. It's about quality over quantity, for sure.
Okay, so she's got this whole roadmap laid out
She does.
with 3 core strategies.
Yep. Platform choice, content planning, and then this super interesting thing called batch creation.
I know, right? Batch creation. Okay, before we get ahead of ourselves, what's Wakeman's take on picking the right platform to begin with?
Well, she's all about meeting your ideal clients where they are. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, totally.
So it's not about chasing after every shiny new app or social media trend.
You don't have to be on TikTok dancing.
Right. Unless, of course, your ideal clients are on TikTok and you love to dance. But it's really about knowing your audience.
Yeah.
Wakeman even suggests using tools, like Sprout Social or Pew Research Center, to actually look at the demographics.
Oh, interesting. So actually, like doing some homework.
Yeah, because data can be helpful, but it's not just about the numbers, though, is it?
Right.
You also got to think about yourself. Like, where do you enjoy spending time online?
I mean, that never even crossed my mind. I was just like, got to be everywhere all the time.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there trying to do it all. But which platforms feel, I don't know, most natural for you to, create content on?
It's like finding that sweet spot where your ideal clients are and you actually enjoy being.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say you found that sweet spot. Now what? How do you plan the actual content itself?
Well, Wakeman really breaks it down into manageable chunks.
Okay, good.
So it's less overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
She talks about starting with a few key themes that resonate with your target audience.
Okay.
And remember, you don't have to be everything to everyone.
That's a good reminder.
What are you truly passionate about? What expertise can you share that really sets you apart?
It's about focusing on what you do best
Yeah,
and then connecting that to what your ideal client actually needs.
you got it. And to help with that, Wakeman is a big fan of content calendars, but she keeps it real,
Okay, so not like some crazy complicated spreadsheet.
No, don't overthink it. Just a simple outline of what you're going to post about and when. That's enough to keep you on track.
Keep you consistent.
Yes. And speaking of, she's also big on variety.
Okay, so we're not just talking blog posts, right?
Right. It can be videos, infographics, stories, whatever format you enjoy.
So find what feels natural to you.
Exactly. Bring your own personality into it.
Okay, so much good stuff. But I'm dying to hear about this batch creation thing. Is this like the secret weapon?
It might just be. Basically, you're setting aside dedicated blocks of time
Okay.
to create multiple pieces of content at once.
At once.
Yep. Think of it like meal prepping, but for your content.
Ooh.
So you save time, you stay consistent, and you avoid those last-minute scrambles.
Which, so stressful.
The worst, right?
Okay, so before we get into the how of batch creation, tell me, why is this so important for solo business owners in particular?
Well, Wakeman really gets it. She understands how busy solo business owners are, and her advice is super practical. It's designed to fit into a packed schedule.
Not add to it.
Right. Okay, so are you ready to dive into the specifics of batch creation?
Absolutely. Like, how do you even get started with this?
Yeah. All right, let's do it. So Wakeman, she really breaks it down. And she says to treat content creation like it's a meeting,
Okay.
like a client meeting. Block off time in your schedule, literally block it off.
Put it in the calendar.
Yes. And then just like you would prep for any other important meeting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Gather your research, bullet point some ideas.
Get organized.
Have outlines ready. It's like, I don't know, having all your ingredients prepped before you start cooking.
I love that analogy.
Hey.
Okay, so I've got my time blocked. My notes are prepped. Now what?
Now, this is where it gets really cool. Wakeman's big on focusing on one type of content at a time.
Oh.
So maybe Monday morning, that's for blog posts. Tuesday afternoon, social media graphics.
Okay.
And then maybe Friday you film a bunch of short videos.
See, this is blowing my mind because I was always trying to do a little bit of everything every day.
Yeah, and it's exhausting, right?
It is. And I feel like my content suffered because of it,
Yeah.
because I could never really get into a flow.
Exactly. You're always switching gears.
Yeah, it's like writing, then designing, then filming, and then back to writing.
It's a lot. And you hit on something super important there with the flow. Batching helps you like maintain a consistent voice and style.
Ooh, yeah. That's
Because
right.
you're in that creative zone,
Staying in the zone.
your audience starts to recognize you, your brand, your tone, your unique perspective.
Okay, I'm totally sold on the benefits. But the big question is, how do you actually find the time to do this?
I mean, especially as a solo business owner,
Right. Because let's be real, we are already stretched thin.
totally. But it might be simpler than you think. It's about like looking at your week with fresh eyes.
Okay.
Are there any pockets of time that you could repurpose?
Like what, an hour here or there?
Yeah, maybe an hour before things get really crazy, or maybe you carve out a couple of hours on the weekend.
So it doesn't have to be this huge chunk of time.
It really doesn't. Even an hour a week can make a difference.
Okay, that's a relief.
And once you find those pockets of time, treat them like gold. Seriously,
Block them off in the calendar.
no exceptions. And remember, you don't have to start from scratch every time you create.
Oh, yeah, forget about that.
Wakeman is a big fan of repurposing content.
Right, like turning a blog post into social media snippets.
Yep. Or using audio from your videos to make those cool audiograms. Get creative.
Work smarter, not harder. I love it.
Uh,
But Wakeman doesn't stop at just the creation part, does she?
no, she's got some bonus tips to help you really refine your whole content strategy.
Oh, let's hear them.
So one of the big ones is tracking your analytics.
Okay, so it's not enough to just like throw stuff out there and hope for the best.
Right. You got to see what's working, what's resonating, what's, crickets.
Because otherwise you're just shooting in the dark.
Yeah. That feedback is crucial for, figuring out what you need to adjust or keep doing.
It's like having a conversation with your audience.
Through data.
Through data. Exactly. You learn what they're interested in.
And Wakeman also talks a lot about engagement,
Yeah, that's so important.
like responding to comments, answering questions.
Don't just be a broadcaster.
Right. Be part of the conversation.
Build those relationships, which, for solo business owners, that could be so huge.
Oh, absolutely. Because people want to connect with the human behind the business.
It's not just a faceless brand.
Exactly. And finally, Wakeman reminds us to stay updated.
Oh, yeah. Things change so fast.
Constantly. So stay up on those trends and best practices.
Easy for you to say. How am I supposed to do that when I'm already drowning in to-dos?
Well, Wakeman suggests maybe dedicate like 30 minutes a week.
Okay, that feels doable.
Just to read industry blogs, listen to, I don't know, maybe a podcast or two,
Like this one.
maybe, and follow some thought leaders in your field.
Yeah, that's smart.
And don't be afraid to experiment with new stuff, like new features on platforms.
Let's try new things.
You might be surprised by what you discover. Reading through Wakeman's article, I noticed something.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't really talk about storytelling.
Oh, that's interesting that you say that, because that was something that really jumped out at me too.
Yeah, because storytelling is so powerful for like connecting with potential clients on a, I don't know, deeper level.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, when we're talking about our businesses, we can get stuck in the weeds
I do.
explaining features.
Yeah.
But if we can frame it as a story,
Oh, it's so much more engaging.
way more, like, people remember stories. They connect with them.
They do. So how do we get solo business owners to actually start using storytelling?
Yeah, how do we bake that into the content creation process, especially when, everyone's already so busy?
That's a great question, and one we'll tackle in the final part of this deep dive.
I think at the heart of it, what makes storytelling so effective is that it's human.
Totally. It's how we connect.
It's how we've always, made sense of the world, how we share experiences.
We're wired for stories.
We are. And I think that's why they're so powerful, especially for businesses.
Absolutely.
But I can already hear our listener thinking, okay, one more thing to add to my to-do list.
Right.
So how do we make this storytelling thing less daunting?
Well, I think the first thing is to realize that you're already surrounded by stories.
Oh, I like that.
They're in your everyday experiences as a business owner.
Okay, yeah.
Those interactions with clients,
The wins.
the setbacks even.
The aha moments.
Yes, those moments where you figure something out and you're like, whew, I did it.
See, it's about training yourself to spot those stories.
Exactly. They're hiding in plain sight. And once you start looking, you'll be amazed how many you find.
But then how do you actually turn those experiences into content?
Right, because a good story can fall flat if it's not told well.
So any tips on how to I don't know, structure a good story?
Well, that classic beginning, middle, and end still works like a charm.
Keep it simple.
Keeps your story focused, keeps people listening.
So set the scene, introduce a challenge, and then, like, what's the resolution?
Yeah, or the takeaway.
Yeah.
And make sure you have, relatable characters.
Okay. So could be you, it could be a client.
Could even be a product or service.
Oh, interesting.
The point is, your audience, they got to feel like they know and care about whoever is involved in the story.
See, this is making me think about all the times I've tried to, like, explain what I do, and I get so bogged down in the details.
Yeah.
But if I had just framed it as a story.
Oh, way more compelling.
Right, like, here's how this thing helps someone solve this problem.
Boom, mic drop. And don't be afraid to, let your personality shine through.
Be yourself.
Your unique voice, that's what makes your stories stand out.
And I think it's important to say, like, this isn't about making things up.
No, it's got to be authentic.
It's about finding that truth, that real heart of your experience and sharing that.
Yes, 100%. So, you ready to wrap this all up?
I am.
We started with Denise Wakeman's awesome advice about content creation.
Choosing the right platforms.
Yeah.
Planning your content. Batch creating.
All those essential building blocks,
Yeah.
but then we added this layer of storytelling.
Which takes it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
Because stories, they connect with people emotionally.
They make your message stick.
They make you stand out. So to all the solo business owners out there, think about those stories from your journey.
You've got them. Weave them into your blog posts, your social media, your videos.
Start small. See what happens.
And don't be afraid to experiment.
Even those small, consistent steps can make a big difference.
Huge. Keep learning, keep creating, and keep those stories coming.